Right, welcome back. We are ACI Course 8, Class 3. It is May 9th, 2025. Let's gather our minds here as we usually do, please. Bring your attention to your breath until you hear from me again. Now bring to mind that being who for you is a manifestation of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom. And see them there with you just by way of your thinking of them. They are gazing at you with their unconditional love for you, smiling at you with their holy great compassion, their wisdom radiating from them, that beautiful golden glow encompassing you in its light. And then we hear them say, bring to mind someone you know who's hurting in some way. Feel how much you would like to be able to help them. Recognize that the worldly ways, recognize how the worldly ways we try fall short. Bless. How wonderful it would be if we could also help them in some deep and ultimate way, a way through which they would go on to stop their distress forever. We know that's possible. We know that's what we're meant to do, meant to become. And so I invite you to grow that wish to help them so deeply into a longing. And thinking of karma and emptiness, grow that longing into an intention. Maybe even into a determination. And turn your mind back to that precious holy being. We know that they know what we need to know, what we need to learn yet, what we need to do yet, to become one who can help this other in this deep and ultimate way. And so we ask them, please, please teach us that. And they are so happy that we have asked. Of course, they agree. Our gratitude arises. We want to offer them something exquisite. And so we think of the perfect world they are teaching us how to create. We imagine we can hold it in our hands, and we offer it to them, following it with our promise to practice what they teach us, using our refuge prayer to make our promise. Here is the great earth, filled with fragrant incense and covered with the blanket of flowers. The great mountain, 4 lands, wearing the jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Nirya Tayami. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may all beings reach their total awakening for the benefit of every single other. Okay. Last class, we learned about the formless realm and first topic, and then those 4 ways of taking birth, the second topic. And we learned that the location of the formless realm is one of those new nebulae that the Hubble telescope is photographing, right?
No.
No, Chris says, no, that's not right. You're saying it's some other place?
No, it is no place. It's no specific place. It's wherever you go into it.
Yeah, nice. Formless doesn't need a place.
No.
Nice. Wherever that being's previous life ended, formless realm is, that being appears. You can't say in formless realm, you'd have to say appears as a formless realm being, a being who has only 4 heaps, right? Although technically they have a 5th heap, but all it is very, very, very subtle energy movement. But they say that formless realm beings have only 4 heaps. The heap of feeling, discriminating between things, between this appearance of mind and that appearance of mind, distinguish all the other factors that make us up. and all the different kinds of consciousnesses, which is all right. It's the consciousness of mind. There's no seeing consciousness, right? So they don't have so many kinds of consciousness. It's all thought consciousness, but not thought like I'm thinking thought. Oh, it's a beautiful day, I say in my mind, not like that. Aware, well, aware of mind. Believe me, it can't conceive. I don't begin to relate to what it would be like to be a formless realm being. Anyway, the point being, if we make mental imprints in that deep kind of meditation, and if one of those, no, let me go back. Mental imprints made in those deep kind of meditations, if one of those mental seeds is our projecting karma at the moment of death, the next experience is this formless realm life, formless realm being. The moral to the story is don't do those formless realm causal meditations. Well, why in the world do they teach them then? And we learn because there are some traditions that believe that's the goal. Those meditations is the goal in this life. And if they even know the impact those meditations will have going forward, they believe that they'd want to get into that level and stay there forever. They are pleasurable. You would have the shamatha level quality of mind, right? With those shinjangs. We could see it's easy to fall into that thought. So that those 4 levels of the formless realms have 4 names we learned: limitless space, limitless awareness, nothing at all, and peak of existence. Different kinds of beings, different experiences of the beings who are called formless realm beings. Then your quiz asks, what provides the basis for the stream of the mind in the formless realm? And we had those 3 different explanations, but apparently the one that is the actual basis of the stream of the mind is that it's called the simple me, the continuing of the me of the being, and upon its life was the answer key answer. Like, that doesn't mean much to me, frankly. But the me part that's planted in every seed, from seeing my me do that to that other, is what carries on, because there's always a subject side. If there's always a subject side of every perception, there has to always be a subject side of every ripening, right? And that's how the me is carried on. That's how the mind is, that is what it is for the mind to stream on. All right, last on your quiz were those 4 ways of taking birth, right? Miraculous birth, meaning just poof, you're there complete. Born from warmth and moisture, born from a womb and born from an egg. And we learn that that order is also the order of frequency and the order of, I don't know what they call it, how like a good birth or a bad birth, but just in terms of how painful it is. And what was amazing, or what was interesting about that, is that in that discussion, you take into consideration the painfulness of the mom and the painfulness of the you getting born, so to be born miraculously, which doesn't put you in a human realm probably, or that is the, they call it the best kind of birth, but only in the sense that it doesn't hurt anybody. But hell realm beings are born miraculously. That's not a good birth. Yeah, so the the purpose of describing what good births, bad births isn't related to whether you're in a realm that's higher or lower or better or worse. It's just in terms of the amount of pain that happens. Some significance there that I don't quite get yet. Okay, so class 3 is within the desire realm. We learned that there are 5 kind of beings, and then the Bardos beings that gets a special designation. And within those 5 kind of beings, we have craving spirits and animals. So today's class is about craving spirits and then animals, because we're working our way through the different beings of samsara so that we can understand better who all needs our help, and so that we can understand better the behavior choices to make in this lifetime to increase our chances of a better rebirth, meaning human, and decrease our chances of any of the other rebirths, with any one of which would stall our spiritual work towards the end of all suffering for everybody. So for this for this class on craving spirits and animals, the suffering of those beings, Geshe-la went to 2 different texts. So we've moved from Abhidharma Kosha. We'll come back to it. And so what he shared with us is from the Tenrim Chemo. The Tenrim Chemo, it means a great book. Chemo. Rim means the steps, like Lam Rim. And Den means teaching. So great book on the steps of the teachings. This was a book written by a man named Geshe Drolungpa. He was from the 1100s in Tibet. So he's pre-Jetsongkhapa. He's a little post the Kadampas of the Lojong, right? He's an accomplished being. But this term, Geshe, here is his name, not his title. Because recall that Jetsongkhapa was the one who founded the Gelugpa tradition, and it's the Gelugpa monastic tradition that gives this term the Geshe as spiritual master. Geshe means spiritual friend. In Sanskrit, it's Kalyana Mitra. A spiritual friend means that one that you're so close to, like closer than brother, sister. Be like, when you had your very, very, very best friend when you were a little kid, and you said, let's become blood brothers, like that. And this Kalyana Mitra, though, goes from this very, very, very best friend to this very, very, very best friend that you admire so much. Yeah, so it's a little bit different. Friendship doesn't necessarily mean you admire the other one so much you want to become like them. But here Kalyana Mitra has that closeness of friendship, but also this admiration from our side to their side. Now, maybe they have it back to you as well. That's what the term geshe really means. But it's become understood to be the title that one receives when they have successfully completed the monastic course of study and passed those debate exams. You get the term, the title Geshe Michael. And there are different levels of Geshe, according to how high you went in terms of how many debates you're the one whose outcome was, right, the outcome accepted by everybody. So this is this guy's name. His name was spiritual friend Dro Lungpa, which is Dro Lungpa is like the place he was from. That spiritual friend from Kansas is the guy's name. So Geshe Dro Lungpa wrote this massive synopsis of Mahayana Buddhist practice called the Tenrim Chenmo. And our hero, Jetsun Kappa, 1357 to 1419, read that book. And during his reading of that book, he had a series of dreams, and it was significant for him. But then he goes on and he decides, well, something inspires him to rewrite the Tenrim Chenmo. And he writes this text that we know as the Lamrim Chenmo, great book on the steps of the path. So this great book on the steps of the path was inspired by the Tenrim Chenmo. The Lamrim Chenmo is not a commentary on the Tenrim Chenmo. It's like a text that makes things a little bit more clear. And they say Jetsun Kappa wrote this having been inspired by Lord Manjushri to do so. And then they go on to say, and really, Jetsun Kappa was just taking dictation from Manjushri. And, we'll leave that open. So in there is this section about Yidak, the kind of beings called Yidak. So Yidak is the Tibetan word. Preta is the Sanskrit word. I think we tend to hear Preta more often than Yidak for some reason. And both words mean craving spirit. Geshe-la calls them hungry ghosts. It's an odd term, to say hungry ghost in English has already like a meaning. And here the hungry ghost, it's not like that. A little like that. And then craving spirit is probably more accurate because anyway, it's probably more accurate to say craving spirit. And what it means is that there is this kind of being and kind of place where the beings there cannot get their needs or wants met. And it's because it's desire realm, suffering, those needs and wants relate to food and sex. We don't talk about sex in this. Really, it's focused on food. And so the experience of hungry ghosts is that they're hungry. Not just hungry for food, although that's what we talk about. They're hungry for anything. And the quality of that being's experience is they can't get it. Or they can get it, but they can't partake of it. Or they can partake of it, but then it hurts them instead of giving them the pleasure they were expecting. And, we can relate. Yeah, there are times when I'm really, really hungry and I'm sick, so I can't eat, or I'm really, really hungry and there's just nothing that appeals, right? We relate, kind of. But this is a whole, like, moment by moment quality of being that you just, like, you have your needs and you can't get them met. And it's your moment by moment, all inclusive existence. We'll talk about it more. To that existence has a cause. It's a result of causes, of course. We would end up experiencing ourselves as that if a certain kind of mental seed was the one that was the projecting karma at the moment of birth that sends us into the bardo headed for hungry ghost realm, craving spirit realm, because of the nature of that seed, what's inside that seed. So they say that there are 4 main causes for rebirth as a yidak. 1 general cause and 3 specific causes. Again, learning about these different causes, we learn what to avoid so that we lessen the number of our craving spirit seeds. And we know what kinds of behaviors to purify. And then they tell us what kind of behaviors to do, right? Which is the opposite of the ones not to do, in order to, right, decrease the likelihood of the seeds that are still there that could ripen as a yidak life, to decrease their likelihood for doing so. So the general cause for being forced into a rebirth as a yidak is doing any of the 10 non-virtues at medium strength, is the cause for rebirth as a craving spirit. Any one of the 10 non-virtues. Killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, divisive speech, harsh speech, useless speech, jealousy, ill will, wrong view. Those specific wrong views, no past, future lives, and karma doesn't run the show.
I'm sorry, Durlama, in medium, what you said?
Right, I said it at medium strength, so it's coming.
Okay.
Medium strength to do any one of those deeds with medium seed planting strength versus strong versus lesser, medium, in between. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So if we do any of the 10 non-deeds with light strength, what that means is that we would do, that deed. We kill something, by accident. You accidentally step on the ant. Maybe you were even trying to go around it, but you stepped around the bunch of them and there was one over there and that's a small deed of killing. It's not premeditated. It's not strongly intentional. It's not doing it again and again. It's just now and then. That's a light planting of a non-virtue seed. A strong planting of any one of those non-virtues would be premeditated, highly intentional as you're doing the deed, right? The one you're doing it to is clearly identified. Do you remember these 4 parts of a path of action? You complete the deed. You're happy you completed the deed. You'll do it again when it comes up, right? That's strong planting of one of those non-virtues. So medium is anywhere in between, meaning you have, some of those 4 factors of the full path of action, but not all of them really strong. So it's really a pretty big category of doing our non-virtues, because we don't go out and kill the whole anthill intentionally, right? We don't do that stuff anymore, I hope. But medium strength is more than just that, accidentally stepping on one. Somewhere in between there is, yeah, but that anthill, it's causing me trouble. I've got to do something to, I'm going to put out stuff so that the ants don't like being where they are. And right, do you see, it's like, it's a really big space of justifying some kind of what would be a non-virtue because I need to do so for some reason. And that kind of seed, whether it's seed of killing, stealing, right, mediumly planted non-virtue, if any one of those seeds is the seed that projects at the moment of death of this life, what we will see ourselves as is a being whose that underlying selfishness takes front stage, and it's defining our very being. Like I want, but we're completely unable to satisfy that. I mean, we can say, I've known humans that are craving spirits. I've had my own version of craving spirit, and that's true. To have a whole, lifetime as a craving spirit, take any of those, distresses when we have this strong need and we can't get it met, and just multiply it by like every instant of perception. And that's a yidduck lifetime. So general cause is the seeds planted when we do any of the 10 non-virtues with medium strength. I hope I got that across. Now there are 3 specific causes, meaning 3 specific things that we might do that make imprint, that if that seed were the one to project, it would also send us into a craving spirit lifetime. And we'll see in the different descriptions, of craving spirit lifetimes, we'll see how these show up a little bit differently. So here are the 3. All right, sorry. Here is the first of the 3 specific causes for rebirth as a yidduck. The first one is jimpa namsuma jimpa. Jimpa namsuma jimpa. Jimpa means giving. So ma jimpa means not giving. And namsum means 3. So jimpa namsuma jimpa means not giving the three kinds of giving. We've learned the three kinds of giving, haven't we? Giving material things, giving protection, and giving the Dharma. We've actually learned four kinds. Giving love. This one's talking about the three kinds. Jimpa mas nam summa jimpa is failing to give the three types of giving. So what are the three types of giving? Sangsinki jimpa, minjikpe jimpa, and chuki jimpa. Sangsinki jimpa. Sangsin means the material wealth, material things. So to give material things, shelter, food, money, clothing, things that people need to live on. It's considered the lowest kind of giving. It helps temporarily. And with all three of these, we're going to see that we hear these teachings and it's like, oh, well, I'm doomed, you know, because every homeless person I see would be an opportunity to stop and, you know, give them my sweater, give them the money out of my wallet, give them my credit card, what I give. Everyone's an opportunity. But the seeds, and that is true on a sort of vague level, but we fail to give any of the three kinds of giving when we're in a circumstance where, right, we're directly involved. So suppose the homeless person has come up to you, you know, and said, right, could you help? And then I, you know, have my usual mental affliction about it and say no, when I could have. That would plant a seed that if left to grow and in becomes the projecting karma at death, could land me as a craving spirit. If that homeless person comes up to me and asks me to help, and I'm there without my wallet, I have, right? I really don't have what they're asking for at the moment. And so we say, I'm so sorry, you know, I can't. That's not a seed that will land us in the Yirak lifetime. Do you see? It has to be a circumstance where there's a need, we have the capacity, we have the resources, we have the ability, and we just decide, no, you know, that's mine, I won't share. It's this idea of mine, and I won't give it up is the seed. So failing to give the three kinds of giving, to fail to give material help when we could, and we choose not to. That's the seeds we're talking about. Second one is, yes, Roxana.
Are we talking about here about ignorant liking, ignorant disliking?
Well, that's what's driving the show. But no, we're not really talking about that. Now we're talking more about that selfishness that is, this is mine and I don't want to be without it.
Yeah.
Right? If I give it away, I'm not going to have it for when I or my family or my needs it, right? It's really based in ignorance, of course.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you, Chulama. But there are the 5 poisons also, right? I mean, it's a poison that will land you right there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Min jikpe jimpa. Jikpe means fear, or jikpa means fear. And then min jikpe would be, fear, not fearless, but decreased fear. So to give someone decreased fear is trying to say to give someone a sense of protection, to fail to give someone a sense of safety when we could, is one of the not giving the three kinds of giving. One of the kinds of giving is to give a sense of safety, a sense of protection. Being so trustworthy that somebody would leave their wallet with all their credit cards, right, in your care, because they know you're not going to walk off with it, and they know that you're going to protect it like it was your own, whether you like the person or not, because you're just that kind of person. To not give that kind of protection, when we could, plants a seed that, if it's the one that ripens, would ripen as yadak. Safety, protection. Last one, chuki jimpa. Chuki means all existing things, but here the ch is being used in the sense of dharma, meaning the Buddha Dharma, and broader, meaning giving the wisdom, giving insights into the wisdom through which that other could go on to stop their suffering forever. So the highest form of giving, they say, is giving the Dharma, whether it's being given in a formal class like this, or giving somebody a book or a DVD, or giving someone insights into behaviors that would be more conducive to reducing suffering by way of how we behave around other people when other people are watching, right? That's also a kind of giving of the Dharma. So to fail to give the Dharma when we have the opportunity is also seeds that, if they ripen at the moment of death, could land us in a yadak lifetime. So they say that the giving of the Dharma is the highest kind of giving, highest in the sense of it's the most valuable, the most useful, the most impactful. It's what I'm trying to get our motivation set as we do our opening prayers. There's the person who, they need medicine, I can help them get medicine, right? They need a friend, I can be a friend for them, but that all just wears out. Doesn't mean don't do it, of course, but wouldn't it be wonderful that as I got them their medicine, I could also help them understand better where getting medicine comes from. And the thing is, when somebody's sick and needing their medicine, they are not the least bit interested in hearing about where that medicine really comes from. So in order to be able to have the circumstances to share the Dharma with another, they need to have their needs met, and they need to have enough of a sense of safety and protection that they might turn their mind to wanting to know where reality really comes from. So it's not to say that the giving of the Dharma is the only thing worth giving, because there are human beings who are in the situation where they're in survival mode, right? They are unsafe and they can't get their needs met. And so to say, sit down, I'll give you a talk about the pen. It's like, no way, no thanks. It's not going to have an impact. So these other two forms of giving are terrifically important in terms of our own practice. All right, so that's the first of the three specific reasons for becoming Yidak. Yes, Chris. Unmute, please.
Which kinds of beings actually can plant seeds and accrue karma? Can hell
All
beings?
beings.
All beings?
All beings are planting seeds and ripening seeds.
So,
Right, only humans have the capacity to understand and make decisions based on this concept of morality. Only human realm can do that. But all beings are imprinting and exprinting, if that's a word, right? Imprinting and projecting. All that is what reality is.
so if you're a hell being and everybody's beating on you and you're beating back, what level of intention is that?
Yeah, save my life, right?
Sure.
I don't know why you'd want to save your life as a hell being, but you still do, right?
Yeah.
Me, save my life. So really, we can see under these other realm beings, we can see the underlying selfishness and the underlying ignorance within that selfishness, right? In the hell being, we're going to see it's just pain and suffering. And so the being in the pain suffering, their whole instant of ever reality is this terrific suffering, and it wants it to stop, and it can't make it stop. It has no power over anything. It can't make it stop. Hungry ghosts, craving, 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 and can't get it met. And so underneath that is, I want this craving met. And because how we think craving gets met doesn't get met, right? How to act according to how we think craving gets met makes the seeds for craving spirit where you can't get the seeds met when it's done, right, with this only medium strength, negative selfishness with medium strength. Right. The not giving the three kinds of giving when we could make seeds that could land us as a Yidak. Meaning any being who is a Yidak, right? These are the behaviors that they must have done to enough of an extent that they had one of those seeds that popped at their last life rebirth from whatever it was. Maybe they went from pleasure being to Yidak. I don't know. So the first specific of the three specific reasons is not giving the three kinds of givings. What are the three kinds of givings? Those three we just talked about. You got it? How we're going down. The second of the specific cause, the specific behavior that plants seeds that could ripen us into a Yidak lifetime is Serna. Serna means cheap, stingy, possessive. Possessiveness will keep us from giving the three kinds of giving, of course. So it's that state of mind that because of our misunderstanding of where my stuff and the keeping of my stuff comes from, we don't want to part with it. So it's mine. I will protect it. I will keep it. I will use it, right? For myself, for my loved ones. I'll even use it for people I don't like, but only when I'm ready. Only when I feel like I still will have enough if I give this away. So Serna is, no, I'm not going to share that because this is mine, right? I don't want to share it. If I give it away, I will not have it, right? For me. At the really, really biggest, grossest level, Serna is we just accumulate, and unwilling to part with it, because if somehow it's gonna lessen my safety, lessen my, I don't know, whatever reason we surround ourselves with stuff and are not willing to give it when somebody wants it. And we go, oh, come on, who's like that? Nobody's like that. But we all have some part of that, right? Yes, there are lots of things. If somebody walked in my house and admired something, I would like, here, please take it. Kind of also selfishly motivated, because it's like, I'd really like to, right, clear out. So please take. But if they look at, my mother's diamond wedding ring that I'm still so attached to, although I don't wear it, and they looked at it, no, I would not say, here, take it, right? Because it's my mother's wedding ring, and do you see? So that, to an extreme, those seeds are seeds that would ripen. But it doesn't even have to be to a great extreme. The extreme quality of mind means that we're holding this, possessiveness to our stuff in a really, really big way. But to have that happen, like in a specific circumstance towards a specific being, and that still plants a seed. And so technically, one stinginess seed floating around could possibly be the one that happens to pop, right? We don't need 10 billion of them for one of them to be the one that pops. If we have 10 billion of those seeds, the likelihood of one popping is greater, but it only takes one. And it's like, egads, So Serna, cheap, stinginess, possessiveness, telling us, think back even in this life. Ooh, I remember being like that here and there and there and there, and even recently, and I regret it, right? I really do. Now that I understand better, it's like, that was so stupid. At the time, it felt necessary. But man, I regret. I'm going to go give some stuff away, fast as I can as my antidote, right? We know what to do with the things that are going to come up in our mind as we study this stuff to clear it out. Third, specific seed kind of behavior that plants a seed that could be yadak is trakdok. Trakdok is that word for jealousy. The non-virtue of coveting, where when we become aware of some other who has something that we want or that we aspire to, and they either have it or they get it, that, little twist in our heart that goes, why them and not me? A little bit of upset at someone else's success is trakdok. And, for a bodhisattva, it would be horrifying, right? I mean, it is horrifying for a bodhisattva, because bodhisattva has pledged, I'll do anything to bring happiness to anybody. And then they hear of, right, somebody's promotion, whether they wanted the promotion or not, they hear a promotion and they just go, right? Instead of, wow, that person got a promotion. Our own selfishness, driven by, eons of belief that selfishness is protective, makes our reaction have this little bit or big bit of right, unhappy that they got something they wanted, unhappy, some little bit of unhappy that they have that beautiful car that's more beautiful than mine. Now, I remember that state of mind, seeing people in a really fancy car. Now, I used to drive around town, you know, I don't anymore, but to see somebody in a really expensive fancy car. And my mind would be attracted to the car, and I'd feel that, you know, it's like, wow, that's a beautiful, expensive car. And the very next thought would be, why would anybody spend so much money on a car? You know? And it was such a judgment, but it was this jealousy, really. It's not that I wanted that kind of car. I didn't want it myself, but I had this judgment about how that person chose to, instead of going, wow, cool, right? They have the resources, they have the abundance, which means they at one time did the generosity. They brought them the abundance that allowed them to have this beautiful car. And it's like my mind just couldn't rejoice for their goodness. It had this tractoke in it. And it was so constant. Once I recognized it, it's like, oh my gosh, like shut up in there. I drive by a house, you know, why would they paint their trim that color instead of, wow, you know, I don't know, tractoke seed, jealousy seed, unhappy with someone getting something that they wanted, must have wanted. Lands us as a yidak. Can you see? Right? It's these specific causes for hungry ghost. We can see the karmic correlation. Upset with someone getting the things they must have wanted with their success ripens us into a being who just can't get our own success. Refusing, like clinging to our stuff, serna, puts us into a being who can't get anything to cling to. And not giving when we can give makes us into a being that can't get. Can't get. All of them. Yidak is you can't get. Driven by seeds of not giving someone that they needed to get. Right? We can see that correlation. So, time for a break. I will stop the share. Pause the recording. Oh, phew, that was not on the recording. Good. There. So in order to help prevent us from thinking that this hungry ghost realm is anything other than karmic seeds ripening and karmic seeds being planted, from karmic seeds having been planted, let's review the 4 principles of karma. Karma, le. What is karma? Movement of the mind and what it motivates. What it motivates means what we think, say, do as the next instant from the movement of the mind. First principle, le nyepa. Karma, le, is definite. But remember what definite means. It's not karma is absolute, it drives everything. That is true. But that's not le nyepa. That's not the first principle. The first principle is it is definite that a kind behavior must bring a pleasant result. An unkind behavior must bring an unpleasant result, no matter what it looks like in our experience. So Geshe-la's example was, suppose you're out, at a farmer's market and one of the stalls is selling hats and you see this amazing hat that you really, really want. And the price on that hat is $100. You don't want to spend $100 because of our serna, our possessiveness. And so we say to the shopkeeper, look, I only have $75. It's not true, right? You've got $200 in your wallet. But you say, I only have $75. Would you sell me that hat for $75, please? And suppose the shopkeep says, sure. So you get the hat and you get to keep $25 because of your little white lie that said you only had $75. Do you see? So ignorance says, because I told the little white lie, I got the hat and I got to keep $25. Is getting the hat and keeping $25 a pleasant result, a pleasant experience? Yes. So is it true then that telling the white lie was the cause of getting the hat and keeping the $25? No. Why do we know that? Because the result of telling a lie is being lied to, right? Being cheated. Is it pleasant to be lied to? Is it pleasant to be cheated? No. Does it matter whether the hat seller knew whether you were lying or not? No. What matters is that your own mind, right, knew that it wasn't true. And what matters is that our own mind, right, believed that it was the right thing to do to get what I wanted, right? That's the ignorance. And that when we got the hat and the $25, our ignorance says, see, lying works. Wisdom says, huge mistake there. Ignorance says, no, lying worked, so I will lie again in some other way. So once we have this clear in our mind, kindness brings pleasantness, unkindness brings unpleasantness. If we're experiencing anything unpleasant in any way, regardless of the circumstances around it happening, we know that the only reason this is unpleasant is because of some unkindness this one saw itself do before. Whether this one in this form or some other form, who knows? Doesn't matter. If this has experienced something pleasant, it's because of some kindness, right? The ramification is, I want pleasantness. That's fine. That is not non-bodhisattva to say, I want to be happy. Because it motivates everything and everybody, even Buddhas. And it's what we believe we do that brings about the result of that pleasance, that shows our level of wisdom versus ignorance, that manifests as our unselfishness or selfishness in our choice of behavior. So Le Nyepya gets us started. Belchewa, what's the second principle of karma? We all know it. Karma grows, right? So little teeny white lie grows, 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 grows. When they ripen as big, being cheated, being misdirected, right? Being in a position where things aren't trustworthy, even as low self-esteem. Lying ripens as low self-esteem. You don't even believe your own. Right. Beliefs, your own self-worth, what you say, what your mind is saying is useful or true or what I should do. We don't believe ourselves, even as those seeds from the habit of little white lies. So same for all those non-virtues. They grow. Third one, ma jepa dung ma trepa. A deed not done cannot bring a result. And that seems so obvious, but we very frequently, right, have the attitude, why did that happen to me? You know? And it's like there isn't anything that can happen that's not a ripening of our own seeds. Anything we can be aware of is a result of our own subject side and how it interacted with what was perceived as object side. We cannot experience anything that's not our karma ripening. That's what this is saying. So when we're getting things we don't like, can't blame anything or anybody but our own past seeds. And if we're not getting things that we want, we can't blame anything or anybody but our own past seeds of not having created the causes or not getting them to ripen. Right? And then the last one, Jepa Chumisawa, is a deed done must bring a result, not the result. In English, the difference is important. A deed done must bring a result. What result it brings will be pleasant or unpleasant according to its kindness or unkindness level. It will be bigger, more than the deed done planted. It can't be something we haven't created, and it will be for something we did do. With that caveat, unless we do some powerful, effective something to damage that seed that was planted so that it cannot go off. But give in and of themselves, once a seed has been planted, it will bring a result. It must bring a result. And if the deed planted was unkind, the result it will bring will be unpleasant, bigger than the one I did. If the deed was kindness, it will bring a pleasant result, bigger than the one that I did. And they all wear out when they're made with misunderstanding and the cycle turns. So given that, with any of these ideas about rebirth into a different realm or even another human realm, we can work with our understanding of karma and how imprints out will be in, will be perceptions out, and work with the karmic correlations that we learned from the karma class, and work with the karmic correlations that we'll learn about in Lojong class in course 14. And we'll have enough information that we can start like designing what kind of behaviors we would like to train ourselves in so that we can be planting the seeds for, right, a more beautiful, safe, abundant, happy, joyful existence. The only place that existence is going to come from is seeds planted for its cause that will grow while we're in the period between its planting and its ripening, right? We know we've got the system, but now we're learning, fine-tuning the details. We have our vows, we have the 10 non-virtues. And once we know all these greater specifics, we can look at those 10, non-virtues, flip them around into virtues, and see how more specifically trying to live according to the virtues where it creates the seeds that if any one of those ripens at the end of life, it'll be, wow, cool, right? Another life where pleasant things happen. Pleasant, and more pleasant. As Geshe Michael has been promising to people. Touch the diamond world, live according to this, and life will just be a huge Dharma party all the time. And it takes gardening to get to that point. But it's possible, as he demonstrates. Okay, let's go on here. Okay. So there are 3 kinds of hungry ghosts. Not only 3 kinds, but 3 main kinds. Let me find the Tibetan. Here it is. One kind is called Chi Dripa Chen. Chi Dripa Chen. Dripa Chen means obstacle. Chi means on the outside. So there's a version of hungry ghost reality where their obstacles are on the outside, meaning the obstacle to getting their hunger, thirst satisfied, the thing they're going to get their hunger and thirst satisfied, that can't satisfy them. So their suffering problem is from the outside, the obstacles on the outside. And so the explanation of this is, for instance, that hungry ghost, right, shows up complete. They are starving and thirsty. And they look in the distance and they see this beautiful lake, and they perceive this beautiful lake as, right, the place where they can satisfy their thirst and get some food. And so they exert themselves to the maximum. They go running to that lake. And when they get up close to it, like ready to immerse themselves in it, what they see there is pus and blood and feces and like disgust. And it's like, just as they're ready to dive into it, yuck. And they look, and out there in the distance is another beautiful, and they run. That same thing over and over and over is this Chi Drapachan. They see what they need to get their need met in the distance. They exert themselves to get there. By the time they get there, it's disgusting. Second kind of Yidak experience is Sekam Ki Dripachen. Here's the obstacles again, Dripachen. Sekom means, oh wait, I missed one. No, I didn't. Sekam, food and drink. Sekam means food and drink obstacles. But this one means this being is able to actually get food and drink that's not pus and blood. They can get to the food and drink. But sorry.
But they
When
can't follow it?
No, these are the ones who they can eat it, they can swallow it. But when they have it inside them, it burns, right? It causes pain. So they're going to this thing for their relief. They ingest it, and it's pain, it's suffering. Sekam ki dripa. I'm sorry, I skipped one, didn't I? This is the third one, Sekam ki dripa. Chi is they're running to the stuff and then it gets disgusting. Satkham is they eat it and it burns. The middle one, I missed the middle one. Nangi Dripachen. Obstacles. Nangi means on the inside. Their obstacles are on the inside, meaning in the inside of them. And this is the being that they can get the food and drink, but they experience their body as having this big belly. So their stomach is big, but their esophagus is really narrow and their mouth is like this little needle pinhole. So they've got this beautiful piece of pizza, you know, and they can't get it in. And they have this delicious berry smoothie and they can get it in, but then it won't go down because their esophagus is so thin and the stuff is too thick. Do you see? It's like not specific, but you get the idea. The first level, Yidok, is like exerting themselves to get what they need. And then by the time they get there, it's disgust. The second one, they don't have to exert themselves. The stuff is there, but they can't ingest. They can't get it in. Frustrating. The third one is they can actually eat it, but it's suffering. It burns, it makes them sick. And yet they're compelled to keep eating. Do you see? The seeds ripening is they just keep trying again. Oh, maybe this. Oh, maybe this. No pain. Maybe this. No pain. All the one seed that projected us into ourselves in a realm like that, and then all the other seeds of stinginess, not giving when we could have. The third one, jealousy, ripening into the details of that life. And a Yidok life lasts a long time. So, right, they're not in a world where the sun's going around or the earth is going around the sun and counting years. They're in a world where they're driven by these seeds. So until all of those jealousy, stinginess, not giving seeds are used up, you're in this realm. Or until something happens that being has an instant of compassion for another suffering, hungry ghost, and that would pop them out. They can see each other, apparently. Hungry ghosts on similar levels can see each other. But it's like hell beings don't see hungry ghosts. Humans don't see hungry ghosts. Where are the hungry ghost realms? There are specific locations, they say, but there also is a version of hungry ghost realm that is like right around here, us, that we just don't see. But there are prayer practices that we can do, for instance, having to do with our eating, that we can set aside like a piece of our food and direct it to them. And some of them, you know, who have enough goodness inside their mind stream seeds, they can actually partake of our food and without painting them, without, but you know, the impact. You could think about how that could actually work and help them and help us, right? Okay, so they say that one day in a Yidok world is like 500 human days. And that, no, I'm sorry, one day is like a month in human days. And it takes about 500 days to burn off all your hungry ghost seeds. I don't know how they get to a figure like that. 500 Yidok days would be about 15,000 of human days. So that's how long a Yidok lifespan would be, you know, give or take, depending on their seeds. 15,000 our days. Anyway,
To burn up, you said, dear Lama?
yeah, before they exit their Yidok lifetime.
Dear Lama, I was thinking that when you leave behind a piece of food, right, in your plate and you offer it,
Yeah.
although you know they're suffering and they might not be able, to enjoy it, what would be the state of mind or the motivation, to plant the right seeds? Because I don't want them to suffer anymore. I don't want them to their tummy to hurt.
Yeah, I know. I find it a little bit difficult, but they say that one is that we make contact with those beings then in the sense that we will sooner or later be able to take them to their end of their suffering forever by our intention to give them a little speck of pleasure in the face of their Yidduck experience. Whether our trying to give them that pleasure actually gives them that pleasure, we don't know. And then, but given the right emptiness, understanding the emptiness of them and the emptiness of the food and the emptiness of us, we can be saying, may my effort here be something ripening out of them that shortens their life as a Yidduck, that gives a connection that I can take them to ultimate happiness. Very similar to doing the emptiness of the three spheres with the piece of bread to the bird, right? It's just perpetuating their suffering, but we're doing it with this emptiness of the three spheres state of mind. So it would be the same. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. As we learn and train ourselves to live by karma, we'll reach a point where we can feel those karmic seeds imprinting, not the 65 per instant necessarily, but, when we do, we're on automatic pilot and all of a sudden we do or say something and instantly you feel that oh man, right? That instant regret is so useful. But it's because we have this awareness of man, that just impacted my mind in a way that I don't want. And it comes from studying all these correlations and getting really familiar with this process of, right, the perception moment by moment is our ripening, and our reaction to that ripening creates the seed that will be the new ripening sometime in the future. All right. In Buddhist time, someone must have said, how 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 frequent is it that someone goes to a lower realm? And Buddha, took his finger and wiped it across the rock he was sitting on. And he said, see the amount of dust on my finger? Yeah. That's the number of beings who will go to a higher realm. Do you see the amount of dust in the whole world? In the whole of existence? That's the amount of beings who's going to a lower realm. Scary. You don't share that with a brand new group. Like that Buddhism, it's a real downer, They make it so clear that you're just going to be a hell realm being or a hungry ghost. And not till we understand enough to hear a teaching like this to and have it be motivating instead of I give up. You know? So please don't give up. So bottom line, a Yidok lifetime grows out of perceptions of ourselves having not given when we could have, being stingy or being jealous, or having done any one of those non-virtues with medium strength. One of those seeds from any of those behaviors, if it's the one that is the one that moves at the moment of actual death, when the mind leaves the dead body, that ripens into a life of perceptions of not being able to get enough, not being able to get any kind of satisfaction. And they don't get out until their seeds for that lifetime wear out. Same as that's how human life ends. Seeds for this human life wear out. Seeds for hell realm wear out. Can you get out sooner than your seeds wearing out? Theoretically, you could, but the likelihood is remote because you're suffering too much to care about anybody else's suffering. That's the beauty of human realm. We can come to care about somebody else's suffering. We can come to care about our own suffering such that it will change our behavior. Other realms can't do that. Even the animal realms, yes, they care about their young. They care about the other members of their herd, for instance, but they're incapable of choosing a different reaction than the one that's driven by their seeds of being the animal that they are. Humans have this ability to choose morality, choose virtue, to assess and choose virtue. It's something unique about human realm. Okay. So let's shift to animals.
Durlama,
Yes.
in our immediate world, of course, there's billions of people suffering, and we do
Right.
Tonglen, right?
Right.
Is it wise to do Tonglen on the Yidaks or not?
Yes, one can.
Oh,
Sure.
okay, thank you.
Sure. Be sure that your mindset of why you're doing it and what you're doing with Tonglen is accurate, right?
Okay.
You're not taking their hunger. You're not taking their, right? You're using your Tonglen to try to help them stop their suffering, gain the wisdom that will bring them relief. Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
But I think, I don't know, in the matter of suffering, I guess they're suffering more than a human, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So it would be wise to do Tonglen to them because they're
Sure.
suffering more.
They are. They are.
Thank you.
Yeah. 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 Take the worst imaginable poor person, in our world. For me, the image of the trash heaps in India and the people, the women are dressed in their saris and they're digging through the stinky, awful trash heap to try to find things either to eat or to take to sell to somebody else. I mean, just imagine how miserable that is in the heat, in the humidity, in the, oh my gosh. And like multiply that suffering beyond comprehension, and that's a yidduck.
And the small
experience.
children there also, Lama.
I
mean,
know,
the
horrible,
kids,
horrible.
oh, they just break my heart too.
Yeah, me too. So that multiplied is Yidok life. Right? Okay, so let's switch to animal realm or animal existence. We're going through the different desire realm beings. Now, we started with hungry ghosts. Let's talk about animals. The animal realm, for some reason, humans can perceive them. It appears that they can perceive humans, although their perception is probably very different, right? When the praying mantis runs away from you, we think, oh, they saw me and big old me scared them. I'm a giant. But praying mantis just sees something there that's coming at them that's dangerous, and they run away. So there is interplay between human realm and animal realm that's more perceptible, more concrete, if you will, from the human side than we have with hell beings, that we have with Yidaks, right? We can see animals, is what I'm trying to say. That's driven by our seed. It's driven by their seeds. So there is one general cause and two specific causes that will land a mind stream into an animal existence if at the end of their previous life one of these seeds were to ripen. The general cause for life as an animal is doing any of those 10 non-virtues to a lesser extent. So we spoke before, lesser extent 10 non-deeds is doing them accidentally, doing them with an unclear intention, doing them towards a not powerful karmic object, and or doing them repeatedly. So those kind of all go together in our experience. Things that we do accidentally, we don't do them repeatedly, as in, intentionally doing them over and over again. But just by way of saying, oh, I accidentally stepped on that ant, it meant that I wasn't being aware enough to not step on it, which means my intention isn't clear moment by moment, which means I probably will do it again and again unless I tune up my intention to be more careful. Right? So it really, this doing the non-virtues to a lesser extent reflects a mindset that's not having a higher level of concern about our moment by moment behavior and its impact on our own mind, which then is going to reflect the impact on that outer world. So when we do any of the 10 non-virtues without all those factors that make a karmic seed more powerful, those seeds, right, left to grow, and any one of those seeds being the projecting karma, will land us in some version of an lifetime animal realm. And when we think of all the different kinds of animals, wow, the different karmic fill-ins, right, can be so different. It's a hugely different experience to be, lion, king of the jungle, and I don't know, what's the most passive? A sloth, right? Versus a fish, versus a slug, versus a mosquito. All of them are animal realm. But then these finer details about what kind of animal and what kind of experience you have as that animal. Okay. So there are two specific causes the seed for which could take us to animal realm. The first one is to consistently, repeatedly break minor rules. So the general cause was that doing the 10 virtues to a lesser extent. This is just a bit more specific, like we let our life is like willing to tell those habitual little white lies. And the little white lie is making the seeds to be lied to and cheated and etc. And the fact that they were consistent and repeated, meaning we're not intentionally choosing that behavior, we're just doing it on automatic pilot. If that seed ripens our next life, it ripens us into a being that's forced to be on automatic pilot, right? It's forced to be driven by, you know, in intuition, that's not the right word. Animal instinct, right? Animals are driven by instinct, not by moral choice making. So the extent to which we are operating on instinct is planting seeds. And instinct for an ignorant human would be protect myself, protect my loved ones, get what I need, right? It's selfish driven. So we can see why instinct seeds would send us into an animal realm instead of instinct seeds sending us right into Buddhahood, until our instinct is wisdom, compassion, emptiness. When that's our instinct, we are Buddha. Okay. So repeated habitual breaking minor rules. Then the second specific cause for animal is to do a great many minor wrong deeds. But then they say such as disrespecting others. I don't know why they don't just say a great many disrespecting others, but I think it's because we do a certain deed because we disrespect somebody. We would withhold, I don't know what, how could I use that? It would be out of disrespect for someone that we'd be willing to put our selfishness above their need, right? We're just not recognizing that their need is as important as ours, or maybe even more important. And we choose our need, our want over theirs. So that kind of disrespect, those seeds ripen us into a kind of being who is disrespected by others. And it's like, well, how do lions disrespect the wildebeest? Well, because they hunt them down and eat them. That's pretty disrespectful. No, it's not. They're just taking care of their families. That's what nature does. Right. What would happen if a pride of lions decided to respect life? They'd become vegetarian. Yeah, and then they'd die and they'd get out of their animal life. Wouldn't they? What about the mosquito? Right, it's awareness. I don't know what a mosquito awareness is, but it's hungry. And it needs a place to lay its eggs. And so it does what it has to do. And it doesn't matter whether you're a human or a goat, right? If it can get your blood to eat, it'll do it. And so in a sense, animals are being disrespected and they are perpetuating that disrespect. I'll eat anything I can get a hold of. And that's what it is to survive, driven by the seeds that got them there. So it's like, how do you get out of an animal realm? Burn off all those seeds, but you seem to be making them as well. We don't go into what kind of seeds do you make while you're in all of these realms. And how come that doesn't just perpetuate it constantly? You know? And I don't know the answer, but it's hard. It takes a long time to get out of these realms that perpetuate the very seeds that put us there, until something happens that we either burn off those seeds or that animal mind gets influenced in such a way that it in fact does do a different behavior than its instinct would have made it. They're perpetuating themselves as animal, probably from lifetime to lifetime even. So, we have handy service dogs now. Used to just be seeing eye dogs. This dog gets trained to help its human. Incredible. Different seeds than just straight up dog behavior. The pets, right, have this unique existence. It's probably really good karma, like good karma, bad karma. Do you remember karma class? There's the good planting, bad ripening. I can't remember the actual words, but it's a bad karma to get projected into an animal life, but it's a great karma to be Roxana's dog, right? Her grand dog who gets to come and visit. So, right, all the realms have that. The bad karma that puts you there, and bad karma that's in there would be that mongrel dog in India. Everybody just kicks it. Versus Roxana's grand dog, who gets to come visit and play in Mexico. So that's in all the different realms. Ours too. Ooh, I'm almost out of time.
Dilemma really fast. For example, when a fly gets into our house, I go, oh, a fly. I don't kill it, but I go, oh, a fly. So better yet, I develop compassion because of those seeds that she continues being annoying or, perpetuating its cycle.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't make becoming fly seed by going ish fly, but we do perpetuate circumstances that are annoying and rejecting and exactly. So there are different, kinds of animals. All of them have their unique, right, karmic ripening circumstance. And so there are animals in the wild that are on survival mode, of course. And then there's the animals that have the honor, they say, of being in greater contact with human. And some of those animals are in service to humans in the sense that we put them to work, which is a good karma and a bad karma, because theoretically we feed them and take care of them, but we're cruel to them, making them work so hard. And then there are the animals that have the goodness to be somebody's pet. And wow, fed, nurtured, pampered, loved, taken care of. Also great karma for a being in an animal realm. But all of them, because they are ripening animal being seeds, they are all driven by that instinct of eat or be eaten. So their experience is this constant alert. Am I safe? Am I not? How do I get where do I get my food? And it's constant in that animal realm. Even Roxana's grand dogs have it, right? They will startle, they will bark, they will, misbehave when they feel they need to in order to protect themselves, their people, in order to get what they need. It's instinct, right? Even the best trained lassie dog, right, has that instinct. Scriptures say there are 360 million species of animals on our planet. Google says there's 950,000. But Google says there are 950,000 described species, which implies there are more species that have not been described. But how can you count a species that's not been described? Which is probably why they don't count them. But an enlightened being, right? 360 million different species, not different individuals. Then 80,000 of those species live in or on a human body. Yeah, that's kind of a clue. Also, in terms of, well, wait a minute, this thing I call my body, it's somebody else's entire universe. I'm providing a whole life, right? I'm providing for these beings. It's like this doorway to a really different relationship with this thing we call our body and those beings that live here. And who's responsible for them? They're responsible for their own karma, but like I'm feeding them. I don't know what they do during sleep. Probably they party, and that's why I wake up so tired. But like I'm responsible for all those beings. That's a little bit close to Bodhisattva, isn't it? I don't know, it's wild. So then the scripture says, and all of those animals, they live in two places. This is the Jingnan Nepa, and we'll be done. Jingnan means warm water, and Nepa means middle. So somehow that together says the vast number of animals live in the ocean. And I think science is just coming to learn that the diversity of species in the ocean outshines the diversity of species on land. And we're just really learning about the diversity of species on land and how vast it is. But in the ocean is like, that's where karmic life takes, or animal life takes place. The other place animal life takes place is spread out all over the planet, Katorwa, spread out all over the planet. So land, air, animals, and water animals is what they're saying. So if the teachings on emptiness is true, Geshe Michael said, if everything is projections of our minds forced by karmic results, then it is plausible that we could become any one of those beings in an instant simply by a shift in projections. End of life, Bardo, animal. 3 shifts, bing, 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 is all it takes. It's a miracle. It hasn't happened yet. Yeah, we just celebrated, my birthday then, Sumati's birthday. And, it used to be like birthday, no big deal, who cares about it? And now it's like, whoa, I made it to 72. It's like a miracle, outlived my parents. Like, wow. And I have this whole different attitude. It's like another year, yay. Instead of, egads, right? How did I get to be 70 years old? Okay. Yes, Roxana.
Like people who have cancer, dear Lama, those are like bad living organisms in our system that are attacking us, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like we purify could those bad living organisms be nice and stop attacking us?
Yeah. I don't know that the cancer is a separate living organism. It's our own cells that have gotten misdirected and are no longer following the rules and are deciding they're going to take over, right? To me, I think of cancer as a mutiny, you know? And
Okay.
so like I work out this thinking about, like, I personally haven't had it, but someone who has it, and we're talking about it karmically, helping them design a method of visualizing and helping to, rather than fight the enemy, to recognize, wow, these are karmic seeds. When I was one who took over, and right,
Me.
you can take that to an extent and then do a purification practice. It wouldn't take just one, you'd have to do it repeatedly, and then see how you could turn it around and rejoice in when you did the opposite and do the opposite now to help whatever cancer treatment you were doing work, right? Because it's not a given. Chris, you have something to say, I can see it.
Well, I was thinking of more like the microbiome, right? Those are
Yeah.
all of the creatures. And if you feed them plants, they make all of the chemistry that we need, like dopamine and serotonin and all that stuff. But if you feed them too much, standard American diet, then the creatures you have living in you can't make the right chemistry for you to be
Yeah.
happy and healthy.
Yeah,
So
nice.
it's interesting that if you don't nurture those creatures inside of you, they can't nurture you.
Yeah, nice. Very nice. Yeah. Yeah, if we think symbolically about our health issues and then apply these different karmic correlations, it can be a really useful doorway into how to help one heal, right? To get down into that deeper meaning, right, of what we're manifesting. What's the name of that woman who was so good at the affirmations and pointing out, left shoulder pain means blah, blah, blah in terms of a mental affliction. I can't think of her name right now. She's so famous. Anyway, yeah. So remember that being we wanted to be able to help. We learn stuff that we will use sooner or later to help them stop their suffering forever. And that's an extraordinary goodness. So please be happy with yourself. Think of this goodness of like a beautiful glowing gemstone that you can hold in your hands. Recall your own precious holy guide. See how happy they are with you. They see how you're connecting the dots. And they're so pleased with you. Feel your gratitude to them, your reliance upon them. Ask them to please stay close, to continue to guide you, help you, inspire you. And then offer them this gemstone of goodness. See them accept it and bless it. And they carry it with them right back into your heart. See them there, feel them there. Their love, their compassion, their wisdom. It feels so good. We want to keep it forever. And so we know to share it. By the power of the goodness that we've just done. May all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. So use those 3 long exhales to share this goodness with that one person, to share it with everyone you love, to share it with every existing being everywhere. See them all filled with loving kindness, filled with why to be filled with loving kindness. And may it be so. Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity to share. This is Friday. I will see you Monday morning, if not before. Thank you for doing your homeworks.
Thank you.
Okay,
Karen.
have a great weekend. Happy Mother's Day, mothers.
Yes, happy Mother's Day to everybody and to you, especially, dear Lama. I love
Thanks.
you.
Please stay. Bye-bye.